Hello, and welcome to another installment of Hope TV's Forever Young. I'm your host, David Linton, and for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about life in the next phase. You know, our program is entitled Forever Young. We started off with a segment, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and you know, that's true because you are as young as you feel, or as well as or as old as you think. And so we're going to be talking today about some creativity, and does creativity have an expiration date? And so we're going to have some exciting guests to come on. This is another production of Hope TV, and we'd like to thank our pastor, Dr. E. Dewey Smith, for having this kind of vision. I know a lot of you are stuck inside wanting to get out and not being able to do things, but this is an opportunity for you to explore beyond the four walls thanks to technology. And so to get our program started, first I'd like to introduce a very vivacious young lady, my co-host, and that's the one and only Jean Hendricks. Jean?
Thank you so much, David. I'm excited as always to be a part of this particular program or this particular show. I am just so excited that someone would think I'm beautiful enough or gorgeous enough to show my face once again on our program Forever Young. I'm excited to be a part of this and looking forward to future dates as we engage other people in reference to being creative and tonight and also being forever young. I've waited a few hours to get started, so I'm excited about our two guests who are with us this evening. Back to you, David.
Well, you know, tonight we're talking about creativity. You know, does creativity have an expiration date? You know, some of the greatest people have hit their peaks, you know, beyond that 50, 60, whatever that date is that you're supposed to be golden, if you will. Think about, you know, the person, Leo Godwin, who started Geico Insurance Company. He was past 50 when he started. We all know about the story of Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he was in his 60s. So, you know, that poses the question, does creativity have an expiration? I mean, when I look at myself, I still don't know why I'm on this program, but as an example, I went back into radio at the young age of 62. And so we are now exploring what we're going to be able to do with this phase. And Jean, you know, you yourself just continue to exude beauty and activity. So we know that creativity doesn't have an end. And so we have two guests that I'm excited to have them on our show tonight. First lady she's an author, and she'll tell us a little bit more about herself. And that's Chris Hill. Chris, to the show.
Hi everybody. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you.
Doing great. Yes, enjoying myself.
Well, good. And we want you to share with our audience a little bit more about what you're doing at this stage in your life. But there's another young lady we like to also introduce to the program. I am a lucky guy. I've got all these beautiful women, and I'm the only guy here. So, you know, I'm loving the show here. And that's Dr. Bunny Davis. She's very active, and she's just well-renowned, has done a lot of great things. And so we'd like to welcome Dr. Davis to our program.
Yes. Hello. Good to see you all.
It's good to see you. Always smiling and always a warm smile. And so we're going to have a little fun tonight, ladies, or this afternoon, and just talk about, you know, creativity. What is creativity? When does it start? When does it end? Or does it end? You know, and creativity can be anything. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, a new way of, you decide to put on a new hairdo or whatever, or buy new clothes, or, you know, I like to, you know, for me, one thing I like to do, I don't like to go to work the same way every day. You know, it's because it gets boring if I take the same route. So sometimes I go up through a back street or something. So let's talk about creativity. Chris, tell us about that.
Well, for me, I'm pretty basic. I like to do the same thing quite a bit. But in this age, I mean, I went back to work at 60. I retired at 50, which was really interesting. But I came back to work at 60 at the church. And I love it because I'm around millennials all day. So I had to learn how to use a cell phone. I am learning how to use this technology while we're in the isolation. Even tonight, learning how to do new things. Benton alluded to the fact that I'm an author, not quite published, but he knows my story. So, yeah, writing is one of my passions. At 66, by May 1st, I'll be 66, and I expect that my book, the first book, will be published and ready to be launched when we come out of this uh, COVID isolation, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, well, that's great. A book. That's
Yeah.
that's good. You know, I have a book that I've been writing and writing and writing. So maybe you will give me the motivation to get finished with my book.
Yeah.
But again, you know, again, that's what you need. Sometimes we need motivation from someone else.
Yeah.
But what is your book about?
It's taken a while. It's a book for our women, younger women. I'm always finding myself working with younger women.
Okay.
And God had placed that on my heart that we need to share some information. We are getting older and we need to pass the baton, share some honest dialogue with our daughters. I have a daughter that's 38 years old who inspires me all the time to write. And she wanted me to do a devotional, which will be the second book. God had promised me that at least one book be birthed from me. And this is the one. It's about women. I'm going to allow some of the women I met along the way to share their story within my story about how we've overcome many obstacles and made it trusting God. And I didn't learn to trust God until I was in my 40s, late 40s, before I even got saved, like I told you. So this is kind of exciting. Thank you.
Well, you know, life begins at 40, so you're right on time. You know,
Yes,
everything else
you are.
before that everything else is a dress rehearsal. Now,
Mhm.
Jean, you said you
Yes.
discovered a poem that you wanted to share with us about that dealt with creativity.
Yes, yes. I found this poem and it says a lot in depth. And it says, creativity comes in a variety of forms. Many people think of writing and artwork as the main ways to show creativity, but there are many others. Creating something is a powerful form of self-expression, and it can impact other people. The inspiration to create can be found anywhere. It can be found in the beauty of nature, the relationship that surrounds us, or the hurt that is within us. When we allow the creative side of our brain to take over, we never know the beauty that will come from it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Davis, I believe the creative side of our brain is the right side of the brain. And then my question to not us on the panel tonight, but how many of us utilize that creative side of our brain? And I think sometimes we don't really get started using the creative side of our brain until we get a little older. I can attest to that because I'm just now beginning to use that side of my brain to think of other things to do that I normally would do one way. Now I'm doing a different way. And it's because of that creative side on my brain, of my brain. But I think also the reason we don't necessarily think of it as we're younger, because we're so busy preparing ourselves for the type of life that we would like to have, and we don't really listen to that right side of that creative brain. That's for me. A lot of other people may not be the way I am, but that's just, I'm talking about me. I waited late in life to really tack on to the creative side of my life.
Well, Dr. Davis, Dr. Davis, you've got a lot of experience. What is your take on that? And give us a little bit about what creativity means for you, and elaborate, if you will, on some of the aspects of the poem that she just talked about.
Well, I really liked what both of the ladies have said so far about how you can become one who creates some of the same types of things, but in different ways. And
Yes.
you never know what you're going to do unless you're actually going to get up and go try to do it. I like the writing.
Yes.
I keep a little something to write on at all times, and God amazes me with the
Yes.
things that He gives me. And
Yes.
a
Yes.
lot of it is poetry. I've written recently, believe it or not, three little storybooks called Grand Bunny's Stories
Oh,
for
wow.
my grandchildren. It's about my grandchildren, actually, and times that they've had fun over at our house when I had to keep them. And it is just amazing what can come when you are relaxed, when you are prayerful, when you're waiting to, just be used by God and
Yeah.
being available to
Right.
people that can't pay you money, but you get so
Right.
much more. And that will bring out creativity in you. And I call it having fun. I have
Yes. Yes.
so much fun um, just enjoying people, enjoying helping people as a volunteer in the community, especially as a volunteer in our church, right, Chris? Yay! But Chris,
Yes,
she's
yes,
working there. But
yeah.
to me,
Everybody got about
it's, it's fun, and but it's also a great blessing, a spiritual blessing.
Yes.
I feel very motivated spiritually, but it seems like I get stronger. So when difficulties come, as we're all facing so many different types right now, when difficulties come, it's not so hard to manage as maybe I would have thought 30 years ago. Well, now it's just, something that I take in stride and I say, okay, Lord, you got this. Please prosper me in what you want me to do with it. And so I get a chance to see just how much more I can do. Yes, I've been an artist and I still am. I do sketching and paintings, portraits of all types of things now. And yet I have so many things that are just coming to me like extra gifts with the gifts that have been given me already. So I'm really thoroughly enjoying what God does with people.
Yes.
He's the ultimate creator, is he not?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when
Yes.
we seek him and wait on him in any
Yeah.
situation and because of any reason, then he just will bless us with amazing things to do. And so
You know, you,
just,
you said something about inspiration, and inspiration. You said something about doing the poems for your grandchildren, and that's good because we also need that inspiration. And for those of you just tuning in, you're looking at Hope TV. We're available on all platforms. If you would like, share us on Facebook, Instagram. We're there. And today you're into another installment of Forever Young, and we have with us Gene Hendricks, my co-host, along with Chris Hill and Dr. Davis, who was just speaking. Now, we know that this episode is about creativity. Does creativity have an expiration date? And so it's obvious just by what Dr. Davis said that it doesn't. So
No.
what are some of the things where do you get your motivation, your inspiration, Chris, to do some of the things you've done? You just said you wrote a book and you consider yourself, quote, a late bloomer, if you will.
I really am. I really am. I didn't think I would write a book, but God said I would. And so I've written so many little things, little short stories, and never got anything published, never thought about getting any of it published until he put that vision in my heart. But I hope it does. I hope that there is no end to this because I said I'll be 66 when I get started, and I want to see what God is going to do. I'm waiting. The book is about getting to next. And so I'm excited about what he's going to do next. I know that we're going to come out of this storm. Everybody's going to be stronger. There's going to be a paradigm shift, and things are going to be so much different, so much better, I believe. I know that God is purposeful And so during this time, I've been praying and fasting and making sure I stay on the wall so that we can come out of this better, because I know there's a plan for me. And eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard what God has in store for us, all of us in our latter years. Pastor Nate said to me years ago that my latter years were going to be better than my former years. And as a person who didn't know Christ until I was 46, 47 years old, and to see the acceleration, I know that there's more creativity I can't even imagine. So the book is the beginning, and I just have to wait on God and be
Amen.
ready to move when He says move.
Amen.
Now,
Amen.
Jean, go ahead.
May I interject something? When
yes.
Bonnie was when Dr. Davis was talking about the creative side of the various things that she has done, and I wanted to say also that God puts ideas in our hearts, in our minds, and He expects us to carry those ideas out. And even if it is a later part of our lives, He is pleased with what we're doing, because now is a time that He wants us to do whatever it is that we're doing. And as long as we're doing it and giving Him the honor and the glory, then He is pleased. I'll share with you something that I did with I have 7 granddaughters. I did with them on Easter Sunday because we could not get into the church. And at one time in our lives, we always had an Easter program. So I had an Easter program on Zoom. And all of my grandchildren were in different places. One was in South Georgia, one was in Conyers, Georgia, and 2 was here with me. Another was in Conyers, another was in Covington. So we had Easter speeches. One did a solo, one did a dance. We had prayer for my son-in-law and my daughters. I even got them involved. They had to do a scripture and a prayer. So it was a very exciting time. And then also this virus has caused me to have Bible study with my grandchildren on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays at 8 o'clock. And they're excited because they're expressing themselves with stories that I have come up with, and they're reading them. So they're learning more about who they are through the Bible and through the stories that we're sharing during the time of this virus and that we're all cooped up on inside. I just wanted to share that and how God gives you visions. And once He gives you that vision, it's time to move on it. Amen.
Well, that's very important, because my next question was going to be, how are we all dealing with this being inside and using technology? Before, a lot of people said, I know people who said, I don't even know how to use a cell phone, but now they're Zooming, they're Skyping, and they're doing all this. So sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. So
exactly.
How has this changed what you do, Dr. Davis? I mean, using technology, I'm sure you probably used it before, but how has it changed your day and make you become a little bit more creative?
Well, I actually don't stay inside. Praise be to God. I have been a Tom Bunny, as I call myself.
That's true.
Since I was a child, I climbed trees and I did all that. So now I'm outdoors. I have been given the opportunity to make my backyard, the most beautiful backyard I've ever seen. And just, loving being able to just find the serenity that I desire in order to be in close communication with God. I need Him for everything, and I love having this time. I don't have to go anywhere unless I choose to go shopping or something like that for the necessities. And when I stay out and do all of that beautiful yard work, I come in very dirty and wash up a bit, and then I go and cook the meal and really enjoy serving my family that is, the ones that are with me here. And I find so much that I can do, even as an artist, on the outside in my yard. And there was a man came through to do some service once on another part of the house. And when my husband, got through talking to him, he had to come find me because he saw all of the paintings and things on my wall and the sketches and everything. He wanted to tell me that just really inspired him. But when he got out there, I was doing something rather intricate in my walkway out back, and he began to say, "Okay, you're an artist, but you know what? You're a yardist." I never even heard the term. So I'm telling you, God will not stop
That's right.
giving you. He will not stop opening up in you gifts that you did not know he could do. So there
All
are
right.
many ways, to let him take your mind off of what's
Yes,
going
yes,
on
yes.
around. And I love being on the prayer calls that our church sponsors, morning, noon, and evening, because it gives us opportunity to listen to others that have other situations going on. And I feel so blessed. I get to pray with them. I get to pray for them.
Yes,
And I get to
yes.
thank God that things are, as the old folks used to say in the old day, as well with me as they
Agree.
are. And
Yes.
so, I want to encourage people listening, please enjoy God. You remember God, period, last year? Well, then that same God from last year, he will give you God's sight this year, as our pastor has taught us, so that we can see things new in a fresh way. And when situations arise, when difficulties arise as large as pandemics, God is greater than all of that. And he can bless you in your very quiet situation, and you will never feel really alone.
Amen. Amen. I agree with you, uh, Reverend Davis, that when we put God first, even in our golden years, our young years, let's stop saying golden, in our younger years, as we are now, God will always continually to send us messages of how and what he wants us to do in these years in our life now. I mean, he gives us things to do. He gives us imaginations to carry out, to glorify him, or to teach others about him. One of the main things I enjoy doing, especially with young people, I love being around young people also, is teaching them about who God is and what he has done for me and what he will do for them if they continue to study his word and to listen to his word. And I think that's very important, Dr. Davis, what you said in your comments. Back to you, David.
Well, again, the thing that I was going to ask is, did you get any resistance when you was trying to do something new or be creative? I know, like Chris said something, she's around a lot of millennials. So when you want to do something new, do you find some pushback from them? So I'm like, she don't know what she's talking about. I mean, I know you're in the church, so they're a little bit more respectful, but generally
Right.
speaking.
Let me just interject. There's one granddaughter that when I have the Bible study on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Fridays, just the look on her face lets me know. They call me Mimi. Mimi, I really don't want to be here. I really don't want to listen, but she has no choice. So it's my prayer that what we're doing and what we're saying in our prayer time and our Bible study time is penetrating in her brain, and it'll come to her one day later on in life.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about that creativity, what is that? Is there something that you haven't done yet that you really want to go and explore? What is that little thing that's driving you? Like for me, I'll give you an example. Um, but Chris, I want you to go and answer that question that I talk about the millennials, about the resistance, and then
Uh,
we'll get to that thing that you want to do that you haven't done yet.
yeah. Working with millennials is interesting. We have a different kind of relationship because my position with the staff is HR. So naturally, you're in trouble when you're in HR. So I had to kind of get through those barriers, and they got to see me in a different way. And so when I started doing the book, I consulted most of the young women that I talked to a lot, and they liked the idea. And so I would think, I don't have anything to say. We don't want to hear from her. We sick of hearing from her. She's an old lady, that kind of thing. And that's the enemy, I'm sure. I always know that's the
Yes.
enemy
Yes.
that wants to shut my mouth. But they are inspiring to me. They get me going, and they can't wait to be my reader, to help me to understand that we do have something to say, and they are listening. They may not
Right.
hear us then,
Mhm.
but they
Mhm.
do. They're listening to us, and they're anxious to hear what we have to say, because time is passing, things are changing, things are going back. They're seeing things that they thought they didn't have to see. That's one of the things in the book, is that we kind of shielded them from the struggle. Jean was in the civil rights struggle, and I talk about that a bit, and how she fought the battle, and they didn't think they had to fight the battle, because we
Right.
kind of kept
Mhm.
away from them. We wanted them to have so much more. And
Right.
now, in the age that we're living in, they're coming full circle with it and
Right.
seeing it. So I think we're getting a little bit of respect and being invited to the table to talk to the younger people, and I'm excited about that. And
Well,
being able
Dr.
to do that.
Well, Dr. Davis, so Chris, you leads me right into my next question. Now,
Yeah.
what would you say to your younger self, Dr. Davis? Now, what would you say to Dr. Davis or Bunny? Say 20, 30 years ago that you've learned now. What would you say to yourself?
Wow, that is very interesting, because what I probably would say is what I'm saying to younger women that I've taught when in Sunday school when they were 11 and 12 years old. They're calling me, and they've been calling me for years, and we've been friends for years. They weren't my friends then, okay, especially when they became teenagers. But later on, we connected in such a way that when we have conversations now, it is a powerful blessing. And what I say to them, I said to one girl, I said, you know what? She's 50 now. She says, I said, we're just going to prove God. We're just going to prove
Yes.
God. And, they get on board. Like
Yeah.
Chris has said, they want to hear, they listen, because they want to know what it is, those words of wisdom that you can give that they probably would not have received many years ago. So I would say to them what I have learned. And that's what I would
Yeah.
say to me. That's what I tell myself every day. I said, okay, wow, God really told you that. He really taught
Right.
you. He's really
Mhm.
teaching and leading and guiding you. So
Right.
that's what I would say to my younger self, what I'm saying to them, that,
Yeah.
Right.
we can prove God. You don't have to
Yes.
fight anybody. You don't have to be
Right.
angry at anyone. You can just go
Yes.
to
Yes.
God's word, or it will come to you when you're just about to, be mad. You don't have to.
Right.
Psalm 37 starts out saying, fret not thyself because of. Don't be envious against so and so. Just rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes. Yes.
I'm
Hallelujah.
listening now
Yes.
better
Yeah.
than I ever listened, but I learned these things over those years. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
now I'm talking to younger women, and they're not so young anymore. So now we're trying to stay younger together.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
that's a good point there. We're running to the last 5 minutes of the show, but you said something at the end there, staying younger together. And I think that
Yeah.
Hmm.
togetherness is that's that when you create that bond. And so
Mhm.
I would ask Jean, how do you create that bond? Like I said, we're winding up, our producers telling us I'm winding up, but I think it's really important to just kind of follow up on asking. I'm going to ask you, Chris, and then I'm going to ask Jean. But first, I'll go with Chris because you're our guest. Um, How do you do that? How do you create that bond? What is that thing that helps you create that bond, that cements it? You know?
I let them see my scars. God always had me
Beautiful.
very transparent
Mhm.
with our young women. They did
Right.
not get to see me as the mother of Jesus. Okay, they had to understand that I lived a life before Christ, but with Christ, things changed, and that they are changing. They get an opportunity to change early on. Dr.
Mhm.
Bonnie gets them when they're little. God always
Mhm.
sent them to me when they were older. So I got older, and then I got wiser, hopefully. And then when I was able to go back, they saw the change. And they
Mhm.
saw the scars, but they saw the change. So I'm very transparent, and that's how we break the bond and break down the barriers and create the bond. We read
Right.
books together. I'm a reader. Everybody knows I'm a reader. This whole writer thing is totally different than reading, but I love to read. So I share books with them. We go through devotionals together, and I see their
Right.
growth, and I'm growing at the same time. So when you say that their light is shining, ours is right near the back of their light because
Right.
we're growing together. We're glowing
Mhm.
together. I just
Mhm.
want them to be more comfortable in their skin, the skin that I
Right.
wasn't comfortable in for so many years. So I think
Mhm.
that's the way that we bond because I can keep it real.
Yes. Right. That's it.
And I
That's it.
and I think that's, that's a good place there too, because again we are winding down. And I can, like you said, the key is letting them see your scars. Um,
Hmm.
Yes.
I know you can't imagine me back in my hip hop days with my hat to the back,
No.
hanging out with
I
Run
see it.
DMC and Public
No.
Enemy and those guys.
No.
But that's what I did. Those back in the day, that was me. But even in that time, I knew who I was and whose I was, and they always
Right.
respected me. They always called me Mister.
Right.
If they were doing something, I walked in the room, they stopped it. So
Mhm.
again, you how you carry yourself, it always transfers. So Gene, I'll ask you, what would you tell your younger self as we wrap this segment up?
I would share with my younger self would simply be to always be honest, to always be approachable. No matter what I'm going through in life, then I must learn to share it with someone else who can be honest with me and to guide me in the right direction. I think I would want to say to my younger self, find that person in your home or in your church or in your family who will keep you accountable for the decisions that you're thinking about, or decisions that you're trying to make. And I think both of our guests also have already said basically what I have on my mind to say is that keeping everything real. Uh, don't put on any airs or pretension in front of people. And that's what I've always tried to do. Even in my younger self, I've tried to always be upfront. But did I make mistakes in my younger self? Yes, I did. I'm not perfect. And as I've said before, God is not finished with me yet. He's still working on me. I'm a piece of work that's undone. But I
Yes,
hear him and I listen to him. That's what I would
right,
say at this point.
right.
Okay,
Back to you,
so
Dave.
for those of you just tuning in, we're Forever Young is the name of the show, and our guest has been really terrific, Chris and
Amen.
Dr. Bunny Davis. But if you had one word to describe this stage of your life, if you could just give us one word that described this stage of your life, what would that word be, Chris? I'm coming to you first.
Worthy.
Okay, all right, Dr. Davis.
Could I make it a hyphenated 2 words?
Of course.
Oh,
Lifelong learner. Lifelong
Okay.
learner.
yes.
Okay.
And mine
And
would
and
be
Jean,
gorgeous and beautiful, David.
those would be your adjectives. Well, again, we really want to thank you, ladies, for being with us today on Forever Young, and you epitomize what this show is all about. Age
Yeah.
ain't nothing but a number, and you are forever young, and your creativity is inside of you, and it doesn't have an expiration date. You're inspired by your environment, by your thoughts, and by your vigor. And I know that the people who come in contact with each of you are blessed and are
Yeah.
energized, because you energize me,
Yeah.
because again, you are forever young. So on behalf
Yeah.
of my co-host Gene Hendrick, and
Yeah.
on behalf of our producer uh, Bidna Landon, our executive producer Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., you've been listening and watching Hope TV and the latest installment of Forever Young. And remember, until the next time we get together, age ain't nothing but a number, and you are forever young.
Amen.
So true.
Amen.